pretty special to me. So I'm happy. I'm ready to get into it. I really am. And I've been waiting for quite some time. And you mentioned like the players, they're still learning the maps themselves. But like, we got to understand, like, some of these players have been literally competing for like hours at a time, 24 hours straight if they can. So it's going to be nutty. It looks like game one might be almost ready to go, Hitch.
Oh, sorry.
This guy.
I'm not professional. Yeah, it looks like it is. It looks like it's ready to go. I think
delightful.
it's at least the graphics.
Here
up.
we go.
Yes, here we go.
Here we go. Our
right.
first major tournament, courtesy of OpTic, the 200K kickoff begins now. $100,000 will be handed out among the players today in 5 maps of solo YOLO, $20,000 apiece. Winner takes all, each map. Map 5 will have a bit of a twist, but right now, you've got to remember that if you come out from a drop, you got to splat. If there's jailbreak, of course, no procs chat, no riot shields, no teaming. But other than that, good luck, have fun, and someone in just a couple minutes, Reflections is about to be $20,000.
Or $20,000 poorer. Well, I guess that doesn't really work.
99 will be $20,000. A dream.
A dream. A dream will be crushed, at least in a couple of minutes.
I mean, what I love about this, especially, is that, yes, maybe you miss out on map 1, but you're still going to have 4 more maps.
Right.
It's not like the traditional 100K solo YOLO where that's it. You know, if you get killed off rip, GG's. Here, you have so many opportunities to figure out what worked, figure out what didn't, adjust, and try and survive as long as you can.
All right, here we are. Chat, map number 1, $20,000 on the line for each map. And this map is going to be no different. So excited to finally see how this is going to work out. Things will start off slow, but make no mistake about it. Go towards the end. Things are going to heat up. And I think for the most part, where you start to see a lot of the pop-off plays is definitely towards, the final zones, naturally, because I mean, when we were watching the World Series of Warzone Global Finals solo YOLO, there was, first up, we got spectator mode, which is fantastic. I just want to point that out. It's going to be great. You're going to get to see all these little arrows just pointing at each other, and there's probably going to be 30, 40 players left. It's going to be utter chaos, and I can't wait to see who's going to win. And now for Lucid, already being hunted down. Now the question is, do you want to actually, get these contracts done, man? Is Lucid going to be cool? Will he have a challenge soon? I don't know. He's being cautious.
It really depends on who's on the other end of that bounty, right? If you have, say, a Biffle, perhaps, or a FIFA kill, someone like that, yeah, it's highly likely that they are actually going to go for you and try and take you down. However, if it's maybe a modern Warzone Doug or someone else, like we already know that when I talked to Doug, I believe, let me take a look at my notes, because I reached out to him and I said, hey, Doug, how are you going to try and win the solo YOLOs tomorrow? And so if this is Doug on the other end of his bounty, he told me, and I quote, I plan to hide for as long as humanly possible and hopefully clutch a 1v1. So if it's him, I think you're safe. For the time being. He's going to use that as a UAV to see where you are. But if it's someone else, oh my goodness, you better be careful. And here's one of those horizontal zips we've talked about as well. I love this addition. I think it really helps for a lot of quick maneuverability, especially in these high density areas. But this is to be expected so far. But take a look up at the top right. We started with those 95, already 5 people done and dusted. Done and dusted,
right? They're out. And that's how quickly some of these games could go. I mean, they can be blistering fast, they can be blistering slow, depending. But now we're on board with T. Now, T, player for Omit. She is an incredible player who was, she knows her Warzone, without question. I was actually just casting over not too long ago for multiplayer, and she knows her S&D as well. So coming back to Warzone, she's back on common grounds where she's used to playing. She's going to be doing just fine, but she's also not, like, too angsty to get out there and fight. Like everybody right now, even Lucid, right? I mean, come on, one of the best players in the world was taking his time.
And there you go.
Oh, here we
There's another player, talk about it, Aydan, on your screen, who does have a bounty that is very close by. I like these plays, though. Aydan, one of the most hyper-aggressive Warzone players, consistently has been since all the way back in Verdansk. Hovering around one of those buy stations is a very good play to pick someone off who might be trying to go buy something, go pick something up, and you have a nice sight line on them, or perhaps that bounty. We'll have to see. what they decide to do. But as we swing over, and so many bounties. Sally's a dog on the bounty receiving end this time around.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just a UAV. Where's this player going to be at? Let me go ahead and grab it. There's no harm, no foul in grabbing a bounty because you're the one who's going to add the information. The other one's not. So as Sally gets, you know, relatively close, Rhyme's going to go for it. And Rhyme's actually already going to be in an engagement. The first one we're going to be seeing on screen. Portable radar is going to be out. And for now, that player is going to kind of, you know, keep their head low. Now, this building is cool, but there is a lot of open space in those windows. So, Katie, for me, like, your head could get ripped off soon, especially if Breadman's in the area.
A lot of open space to be picked from. I love that you pointed that out. Not only you could see the tracking of that vehicle as it moved away, but the trigger discipline was so important because why waste ammo and reveal your location if you can't guarantee that you're going to be able to get that kill onto that player? So I like that bit of hesitation, rather sit back and wait. As we swing over to Joewo himself, does spot one in the helicopter, taking pot shots, trying to make something happen. Spots the player out, gets a tag. Can we see our first down? Knows he's right around the corner, but can't make it happen just yet, but does, take a look, already have 2 eliminations.
Talked about Breadman being a good sniper. Joewo is too, and Joewo was alongside Breadman and Limax for the global finals, 6th place. So he's already an accomplished player, and I know it meant quite a bit to get that high placing in global finals. He's worked so hard, and it's always a tough transition for Warzone players to go from being, you know, content creators over to a true competitive, like, respected player. And Joewo is getting aggressive. I like this. We talked about it in the pre-show. Will players be able to slow down? For a lot of them, it's not in their DNA. For Joewo, it's really not, and that's why he's getting up there. He's already got a couple attacks with the snipers, and now he wants to capitalize.
As he should, and what I love too is you have that tempered perk being used. It's one of my favorite perks in Warzone. The ability to get back into a fight or to stabilize during a fight. You only have to put 2 plates in. It counts as all 3 with tempered. I really, really like that decision out of Joewo. You can tell checking every corner of this building, getting as much loot as possible, but you also have to wonder how many players, as we get to 80 remaining, are going to be focused reflections on maybe trying to figure out where Final Circle is going and set themselves up for the ending without really worrying about any of this. Yeah,
it's true. I think there's going to be a lot of players ratting it up. I mean, as they should, honestly. Again, you can rat it up for so long, really, until the end zone. Like, you're going to have to fight. And the best fighters, the ones who can really shoot straight, are going to be the ones who are going to be dominant here. Like, even Lucid, we saw earlier, like, obviously, is he a Warzone player? No, he's not, but he's still one of the best aimers out there. I mean, guy's literally a champion, so I expect him to be quite good, especially with the centering. So, like, Lucid's going to be a true competitor that can make an impact, but it's going to be those final zones where really everything kind of comes together. This is kind of just everything in between the means, you know, kind of match the ends. Sebas on your screen, and he is cruising. Having a vehicle, in my opinion, is going to be very important for solo play.
Oh, certainly. You almost always, at the end of a solo YOLO, see at least one person in a car. Just driving around, figurating, because they're not going to be really anyone's main priority at that point. And it can tend to be a relatively safe thing, but at some point, you will have to get out of that vehicle. You have to be very careful that that's not when you get picked off. We often see it with high ground as well. High ground is good up until a point. And then it becomes a detriment. So it really depends on those heads-up plays. Another player with that tempered perk, but now you can see it outside the zone. You're gonna have to start working your way in as we swing things over. Nadia on your screen now. No eliminations, but it's not about the eliminations in a solo YOLO.
That's right.
It's about being the last player standing.
Nadia is back, ladies and gentlemen. She's competing today, and we're gonna have to see how well she's going to do. Nadia, an interesting competitor who didn't necessarily compete in World Series of Warzone. I think maybe a couple of qualifiers, but ultimately kind of, you know, stepped away a little bit. But now she's back, and she can be deadly. Joewo is airborne. Multiple people shooting or trying to gun him down, but Joewo is going to be tough to take down. Now, this is the play for me. Like, if I'm playing, I'm getting a heli as soon as possible, and I'm just staying airborne. And that's why Joewo was in that fight a little bit earlier, hitting the snipes. He wanted to prioritize that fight because he wanted the heli for himself, so he can get a great rotation into the zone where he's currently at, so he can gatekeep because he's already got his sniper, and because he has a sniper, gatekeeping is going to be relatively easy from high ground.
I couldn't agree more. Dips out of the heli, get set up at a new location, right? You want to get those heads-up plays. Sometimes those storm plays where you hover on the edges can be useful to you because a lot of people will have already moved into a deeper position in a zone. But I do like that play. You don't want to be caught out in the open, especially in something like this. Just a risk that isn't necessary. But there we go. Zyro takes shots out, knows that there's someone nearby already, an elimination under the belt, hungry for another. No eyes on wherever this player is just yet.
Big Zyro, he's a serious competitor. He has set records. In fact, just recently did so on Vondel. He loves his Vondel. He's always dropping 50 bombs, it seems. I think he dropped a 50 bomb, then he dropped a 51 bomb. He just released a video literally a day ago doing so. One thing about him is he's highly aggressive because, like I said, he's used to Resurgence, he's used to Vondel, he's used to up close and personal fights. So he's going to be one to look out for, but it seemed like he was going to go in a dip. Now, Iceman Isaac, love this guy. Air Force veteran, pilot at one point in time, so if he gets airborne, he knows what he's doing. But he's always playing in Warzone tournaments, whether they're military tournaments or whether, of course, they're just competitive tournaments like this, right, for $20,000 on the line for each solo yellow or trios. This man knows his Warzone, Katie, and he's going to be another guy that I'm personally looking out for to make some big plays.
He certainly could get it done, does have a very good mind for things like rotations, the best ways to approach a new zone, perhaps. He's very forward-thinking in that regard, which can be crucial in an event like this. And it's also the second player outside of Nade we've seen kind of taking up residence in a location, setting out those mines or those other uses around the map to just give yourself that heads up to block at least one entrance while you sit and wait for the rest of the players.
Yeah, he's ratting it up. You want to talk about being a rat? Iceman is being a rat, okay? And honestly, I can't hate him for it. I really can't. These stairways, man, are just, they're deadly from time to time, especially with the bouncing Betty literally being right there. Gets you down to one shot. Iceman guns you down. You are done and fried. 71 players remaining, and I got to say, I'm very surprised the lobby's dropping so quick. One thing we didn't really talk about is 150 now down to 100 per lobby, okay? And that makes gameplay a bit different as well.
Yes, it certainly does. You have to treat everything differently, but talking about someone we've already mentioned on the desk, that is Modern Warzone, aka Doug, does have some eliminations. Look, he's already breaking the... He said he was going to hide for as long as possible and hopefully clutch a 1v1. Has already taken multiple players out. So Doug on the move, on the hunt, as we zoom back over to Omit T, and we will see a player go down. Another eliminated, taken out. Yes, you'll have a chance at the gulag, but those gulags, I hope we can catch at least one or two of them throughout the course of these maps.
Oh, for sure, and I think we definitely will the deeper we go. Lucid was taking his time off the start. We started with... Sometimes fall damage just hits you hard. Okay, Lucid.
It's okay.
He's coming from a different title.
It was a lucid dream. Just wake up. You're still in this map.
Until the reality hits, he's not getting 20K. So that's tough, man, Katie.
That is nice shots. Catches the player dropping in, cracks the armor, can't convert it into a down, but does get a nice amount of damage in. We'll see if there's a re-engage happening here for T. But again, knows someone is nearby, does have a nice amount of money, not necessarily as useful right now because, of course, going to those buy stations very high risk when you have players like Aydan hovering around them, waiting to pick people off. But another up in the sky, goes for the initial contact, hits, but not going to do too much to that player as they beg to the right and say goodbye. I don't want to play with you.
Why not? You don't want to play with T. She's on Omit for a reason. Omit, a great organization, heavy hitters on that roster, and I think for Warzone competitive, they've always been an organization that is it's prestigious to get on Omit and play for them, right? And I know you know that firsthand, getting to talk to the owner at one point in time, but she's going to be holding down this rooftop, and she's done so in pretty spectacular fashion. She already has 2 eliminations, which is quite a bit considering we've been looking at a lot of competitors not even have a single elimination, but a potential another could be coming out. Now the question is, does T want to engage this? There's really no benefit in fighting. If you can just let a player go away, okay, you can do so. Don't expose your position, and T is doing exactly that. Trigger disciplines in. She doesn't want to engage just yet.
But perfect job that she didn't engage. Cracks the armor, turns around, sees someone trying to flank her at the top of this building, gets the better of them, but you're going to have nades coming out, and this is where it gets dicey because you know that this player is straight on the other side of the building. down would have been so ideal. But one of the first engagements we've seen spots the player for just a second, but now it's a game of hide and seek, neither wanting to give up that cover position, maybe bunny hopping over the top of the roof to get a sight line, but still a dance, an awkward dance, an uncomfortable one, but no one down just yet. We'll need to put that tempered perk to use.
Now, she does have a PA, but it's like, is she too close? That's the question. She can always use that to get away if she needs to. Sliver of health does the opponent she's going against capitalize and push forward, smokes her out. She knows the pressure's coming, and from a distance, she gets taken down. Self-revive will not help, and unfortunately, T is out of here, and also Nameless is gone too, our CDL brethren, who knows his Warzone is a grinder champion himself, but not a champion in game number 1.
Not a champion in game number 1, but that's why you've got 4 maps after this to try and become number 1. Take a look back to Iceman Isaac. We were briefly taking a peek at Swish, but that's why that high ground, it can work, but sometimes, as we saw here as well, it can go in the opposite direction. The more areas you have to cover, the harder it's going to be to protect not only your front, but your sides, and of course, your flank, which is what we just saw T come into contact with. Back to Swish. How many times now have we seen players staircase, bouncing Betty, prone, ready and waiting for someone to come through the door?
A lot, and I think that's the play. I do. Iceman Isaac even wasn't against it. We know how well he can do for going and, you know, running and gunning, right? So some certain players just want to kind of take their time. In fact, here, even with Picnic, a great player, he also has a bouncing Betty. He wants to get inside that zone. Teams or Jimmy solos are wanting to really prioritize getting in zone. They do not want to have to go to these tighter zones and be forced to run through a player who is set up, ready to go, set up with the bouncing Betty, set up, right, with the intention of taking you down in the gatekeeper role. So I think prioritizing zone, especially now as we start to get deeper and deeper, half the lobby is gone, is going to be quite important. Picnic is going to be someone that could very well go the distance, along with Lucky. Happy to see Lucky. I've had a chance to cast with him. You as well. He's an aspiring caster, but more importantly, part of the Baka Bros. This guy, he can hit his shots. Like, this guy's nasty.
Yes, he is someone, a member of Baka Bros alongside Repulse and Biffle, and a very good player in his own right. So it is always fun to see him out of the casting booth. And being one of the players that we get to cast today does have an elimination as we get to sub 40 players left in the map. But this is, what we're seeing here is so typical and traditional of solo YOLOs, right? Even if you are a hyper-aggressive player, everything about this game style is going to be the antithesis of that. You need to be patient. You need to be very selective about the fights you choose to take, and that will get you a higher likelihood of success. So no surprise that, again, you're prone, you're ready and waiting. You want someone unsuspecting to come to you. You don't want to be the one caught out by surprise. Now, we will have a tantalizing-looking helicopter over one building. But there we go, we spot someone to the left, shots taken, none connecting. We'll look for the re-engagement as we swing over to Mr. Mike P. 3 eliminations, and I love when you can take a look at the amount of people spectating, but look at that, flies out of the door, caught into the storm, an easy read, takes the 4th elimination, no problem. But this is where you gotta be careful. We hear streaks overhead, helicopters up above, and this is not a rotation you wanna see, and that is exactly why. Picked off from a player behind, gets taken out. That'll be a GG as we move down to just 23 players remaining.
All right, this is where things start to get wild, right down to the last 20. Players are going to be airborne. Players are now going to be on the ground. Picnic, does he even want to go for the finish? Well, he might as well. He goes for it. That brings us now down to 20. This end zone is going to be out in the open. This POI Picnic is at is pretty much the only one that is left in the end zone currently, and Picnic takes down yet another one to rack it up to 5 eliminations. But what we know about this, Katie, right? It's not about the elims. It's about being the last one standing, and there's now only 12 remaining.
Only 12 remaining. The golden gas mask, so pivotal for fights like this, gives you a ton of freedom. But this rocky outcropping, this elevation distance is really going to test the players. Are you going to have the benefit of being down low? Like Picnic, you have those rocks to completely block you. Spot another out in the storm, a 3rd down in as many seconds, looking to get that finish, but you have to be so very careful while you do it that someone else doesn't pick you off. 6 elims, 7 players remaining. Picnic, This is going to get dicey because, well, you're going to have to start climbing and you're not going to have a lot of time to do it. But that gold gas mask could be the key.
Well, the good thing is he doesn't have anybody behind him clearly, but he does have one just in front. You mentioned the gas mask, which is going to be great, but it only has 3 more ticks, so he can't stay in the gas too long. 5 more players remaining outside of Picnic. And like I said, it's pretty much out in the open, so he's trying to use any type of cover he can, even if it's just a little bit of a berm, lower elevation. Does he want to engage? He does. And look who it is! It's Skullface, the winner of the World Series of Warzone Global Final. Solo YOLO is still alive and could very well go back-to-back.
Skullface, Picnic, 2 of the 6 players remaining. Skullface, the chance to do it again. Spots one out by the tree, breaks armor, wisely backs off. You do not want to expose yourself with so little room left. Does have great positioning for where that circle is going to end up, but that gold gas mask is disappearing very quickly. The smoke play is out. Waits for a push, doesn't see anything just yet, but knows that those players are going to have to come to him, but you only have so much time to wait as well.
Oh, no! What? Skullface!
He didn't time it right.
He didn't time it, but
He didn't time it right.
He does have self-revive, though, so there's a chance he gets back into it. He might have played it okay. We'll see if he does, but Picnic is still the one to watch out for.
Yeah, he has time.
He got back
That's
up.
huge.
I was so worried. The self-revive goes in clutch. Why would I doubt the man? He knows what he's doing. Picnic takes down yet another one, and we're now down to top 4.
Down to top 4. Takes him down. 3 remaining. We know it's Picnic, Skullface in a 1v1 right now. Where is the third player swirling away? That's going to be a down on to Picnic. Skullface looking for the final player. Gets Picnic stuck out into the storm. Where is he? Moves to the car next to him. That'll be 1 self-revive down. Is the player below him wise to check, but knows that Picnic unfortunately doesn't have a lot of great areas to move to.
So if there's a player below him and he's up top, most likely going to end in a hill off, and that's going to be the case. And now that it becomes a question, how many hills does Skullface have along with the opponent down below? And Skullface is really taking his time, but clearly his opponent knows where he's at because the gas is coming in. He's taking a bit of damage, but for the most part, he's okay, and he really is aware of the player behind. So Picnic is still alive. Picnic, Skullface, and the third, I don't know.
I don't know where they are. They've so far been winning. Oh, there we go! The tactical Brit! There we go! We finally have eyes on that third player in the tunnel, just trying to move away. But look at this. I mean, this play is going to work until right now. You didn't have a full gas mask. You're going to have to run as Skullface trying to, actually, I guess, did take down Picnic, was able to win that off screen. So now it is going to be Skullface, the winner of the most recent World Series of Warzone Solo YOLO, looking to get it done one more time and doesn't even have to sweat it in the process. Skullface happy to wait as that player dies to the gas. That is Skullface map number 1, $20,000 reflections right in the pocket.
That is crazy. Not only does he win global final solo YOLO, he comes in to the OpTic Warzone 200K kickoff and wins map number 1 and takes home $20K to start off. We asked the question, or really Hitch asked the